Marine is out on the course. Smythe, the smooth mover, the U4, Chuck Hickling at the wheel. We have 3 boats on the course at this time. And, Mike, this is it. We're right down to the last couple of minutes before that final gun goes. And Mike Fitzsimmons and myself are standing looking at the starting line. Those striped buoys, sort of a bright red, I guess you'd call them, and white. And they mark the start of it. The Coast Guard helicopter is overhead just in case it's needed. And the boats are, well, they're getting ready right now. And believe me, the butterflies haven't left yet, Mike.
No, that's absolutely correct, Ray. We have now 4 boats on the race course. The smoother mover going through the south corner. Coming down off the north turn is the Miss Timex, and up the back chute is the Vans PX. And looking around, we've got one more Pizza Pete up into the north turn at this particular point. So now Valuemart checks in, Ray.
So we've got them all on the course. There goes the Valuemart. The Timex is the one you're looking on the screen as we're down to 2.5 minutes until the starting gun. The Timex with a very, very nice gentleman at the wheel, Jim McCormick. And now we're looking at the U-88, the Pizza Pete, the Bothell junk man, as they call him laughingly, Bob Gilliam, who qualified at 104.348. The Timex, Jimmy McCormick at the wheel. He qualified at slightly over 104 miles per hour. To be exact, 104.147. The U-44, he went out, took one qualifying run, and he made it. Now back to the Pizza Pete as Bob Gilliam wheels it around on the...
He goes into the infield, Ray, as he gets ready to jockey around for position for the start.
This is all important.
We look at Smythe's smoother mover as he and Chuck, that boat and Chuck Hickling jockey around the position for the start. Bill Muncie has mentioned, by the way, that there's a lot of racing takes place before the 1-minute gun goes off, and that's where they try to find the lane they can best run in, Ray.
I talked with all drivers of all 5 boats out here, and they all say they want the inside lane. They want the rest of the boats on their hip, which means they want them right on their right or starboard side if you're a boatsman, and they want that inside lane, so we don't have anybody that wants to be on the outside. So we'll see who finally grabs it as they jockey for positions here. The clock counts down. Almost a minute to go until the starting gun. Pizza Pete, Timex, Vans PX, Valuemart, and Smythe. Coming up on the 1 minute, as you see on the screen. You heard it, the 1-minute gun.
All right.
Here comes the strategy.
Now they start to jockey. Now, one thing we might caution you, Ray, to remember is that the Valuemart has a rookie driver. He has only run one unlimited race before this one. That was at Pasco. He played all according to the rules, stayed out of everybody's way. He's in an educational process at this time, and don't expect him to try to run to the starting line with everybody else. He's got some learning to do yet.
The Valuemart has got the speed in the backstretch, taking it up there. Ferguson at the wheel. Smythe Smoother Moother is the 5th boat back. The lead boat, going very slowly, is the Timex. The Pizza Pete is next. And now it's just a spray of Roostertails up there, as you see on your screen. They're coming out of that north turn. Mama, we got a boat race. Here we go.
Now let's see what lanes they set in. Timex will take lane number 1. Pizza Pete will take lane 2 on the outside. Vans PX.
Jimmy McCormick has the Roostertail flying on the inside. Down to 7 seconds to the starting line. 5. Jimmy McCormick in the Timex. He's got the lead. Going into the south turn, the Timex, the Valuemart with Ferguson on the outside. And on the inside is Gilliam and the Pizza Pete.
This Timex comes off the lower pin out in front. He's followed by Vans PX with Leif Ferguson, and Pizza Pete now moving to the inside with Bob Gilliam.
So there's the leader on the screen. Jimmy McCormick, the Miss Timex, who qualified at slightly over 104 miles per hour. We've got the clocks on him. We'll give you that first lap time the minute he comes around.
And now Vans PX starts to challenge on the outside. Ray, look at him go.
Ferguson's got that boat flying out there, but McCormick won't let him have it. McCormick's pushing that buggy. He's got the lead all the way down the backstretch.
And now Bob Gilliam moves up on the inside. We got a 3-boat race going into that north turn, and it's really tight as you see him come in on that north turn position.
from Lake Washington Boulevard, you've got them as they walk on those sponsons around that tricky north turn. All boats are still running. We've still got 5 of them out there going. Now we've got a race up on the Timex, and on the outside, Ferguson and the Vans PX. Only fractions of a second behind each other, and Gilliam takes a tight turn on the north as he comes down the straightaway. The Timex coming across that starting line again for the end of lap 1, and Ferguson is really flying in the PX. It was close. As they cross that start-finish line, we've got the Vans PX and the Timex side by side. 103.846 unofficially. Almost 104 miles per hour. Unofficially, we've got the Vans PX, the Timex, and the Pizza Pete. There's the Vans PX in the south turn, and he passes the Timex. We've got a boat race. This is a good one. Who said this was the slow heat? These guys are really out there pushing their buggies. Coming out of the south turn, coming up the backstretch, it's the Vans PX with Ferguson, followed by the Timex, and Jimmy McCormick at the wheel. 103.846 on your first lap. This is lap number 2. We're on the second place boat, the Timex, which has dropped back considerably now. 4 or 5 boat leads. There's your difference between your leader, Leif Ferguson, and the Vans PX. And 32. And now watch as Bob Gilliam moves that Miss Pizza Pete right up the back chute, trying to get Jimmy McCormick as he runs right into the slop of the Roostertail. Going through the north corner, Vans PX still commanding the lead. Behind him is Jim McCormick in the Miss Timex. He's having a little trouble negotiating the corner, and Bob Gilliam is making up time on him in third place. We've got a race here, whether you like it or not. These boats are really going at each other. Leif Ferguson cuts in now. He's moving hot off the corner. He looks very, very good. Gets his foot in it, hits the nitrous. Here he comes. Lap 2, Ferguson and the PX will have the time the minute he crosses that line, followed by the Timex and McCormick. So Ferguson, after the first lap, took the lead on the south turn, and he's held it ever since. Now here's the second place boat, the Timex. Jimmy McCormick at the wheel, the old red wagon, and followed just by a whisker by the Pizza Pete in the third position. The time on the second went a little slower than the first. About 4 miles faster. 1:08 even. So Ferguson really put his foot on the accelerator that time and floorboarded it. I think up that backstretch is where he made up those 4 seconds. So on the first lap, we had slightly over 104 miles per hour. Ferguson put his foot to the floorboard in the PX. In the second lap, he's now at 108 miles per hour in the second lap. And there's your difference between your leader, the Vans PX, Leif Ferguson at the wheel in second place, Jimmy McCormick, and the Timex. And Jim McCormick is going to lose second place right now to the Pizza Pete, who is really moving on. Here comes the fossil junk man, Bob Gilliam. He's got a race for second place on the outside. Pizza Pete, Timex on the inside. Both those Roostertails are neck and neck. Gilliam's falling back slightly now. He made his play coming out of the south turn. McCormick's going into that north turn with Gilliam right on his hip. A race for second place. As we look into that Mount Baker Boulevard camera, we see the Vans PX come out of that turn, still commanding the lead. But Leif Ferguson looks back over his left shoulder. He can see the Timex in a real duel with the Pizza Pete in the north turn at this point. And you see them there. Pizza Pete in second, right in the Roostertail. Here's your battle right here, Mike. Here's your battle right here. Gilliam on the outside. Whoa, he fishtailed just a little bit there. Now he's coming to the inside. Gilliam, here's that strategy. Here's the veteran. He fishtailed, took the inside of the Timex, and now we got McCormick on the outside. So Gilliam slowed down, went to the inside, and now he's got him. It's Bob Gilliam taking second place. There's the veteran right there. There's your experience. Pizza Pete in second place, Timex in third. Leif Ferguson going into the south turn. In the Vans PX, he's got the lead, and he's driving a beautiful race. That boat is right on the water, not walking, goes into the turn, and comes out of him as if he owned him. Ferguson, and once he was right, this is the dark horse. South turn, here's your battle, second place, Pizza Pete, 101 for the Vans PX unofficial time, 101 on that third lap. So Ferguson backed off after taking a 108 second lap, but we've got a battle for second place. Gilliam still got the lead. That's the light-colored front of the boat. You can tell in your distant picture there, and the all red or more dark. There's your leader, Leif Ferguson, up the backstretch. He's driving a magnificent race. The former Hallmark Holmes and Leif Ferguson racing for the first time all year. This year, commanding the first flight of today's race.
And Bob Gilliam, the self-proclaimed jumpman from Bothell, really
Pushing him out.
turning the fans
Pushing him
on.
out. Now the difference in the field right there, and you can see that Gilliam, he's got a sleeper. That Pizza Pete may be an old boat, Mike, but he's pushing it for all it's worth, and he's now got second place. And it looks like on this turn, if he pulls the same trick he did last time against McCormick in the Timex, and it looks like he's trying it, if he can make up that difference on this turn, we're going to have a close race for first again.
Bob Gilliam making up time on the Vance PX right now. He's about 600-700 feet back.
There's your
He's
leader.
moving in tight into his corner, and he looks very, very good. There's the Pizza Pete bouncing, moving through that corner, really getting off it. Now he puts his foot in it, and here comes the Timex right behind him. Jim McCormick not trying to give him any room.
Coming out of that north turn, across the line is Vance PX.
Here comes Bob
Second
Gilliam now
place.
across over the finish line. In second place and hanging on to it by a good 800 feet at this point.
We got one more lap to go. Third place boat, Timex, McCormick. All boats are still running.
And we see Leif Borgeson move through that south corner, and he moves through very, very well,
He's
Ray.
driving a beautiful race. That boat is well handled. It's not walking at all. The water is a little flat, as Bill Muncy pointed out, and that could be, you could dig in or have a little walking problem, as they call it, and one sponson could dip one way or another, and you could be in trouble. But Borgeson knows what he's doing. He's 97, so he's backing off. 97, the unofficial lap time for the PX on that fourth lap.
Now we look at fourth place.
But he went at 108 miles per hour in that second lap to grab that lead, and that's remarkable, absolutely remarkable. Now we're back on the Pizza Pete in second place, not too far back. And look at Gilliam fly! He's got that Roostertail kicking bad. Look at that thing go. He's closing the gap on the PX. He really is. You can see it.
And now we take that hilltop shot. We see the difference between them. We see the PX going into the turn, and Gilliam making up time as he comes right into him at the entrance pin at this point also.
North turn. There it is. Borgeson's got just a fraction of a lead over Gilliam. Gilliam right through the Roostertail spray, and he's chasing him. Here they come. Down for the
starting line, and we have the Vans PX now moving into traffic with the smoother mover trailing the entire field almost a full lap behind.
The Value Mart way back in fourth place, and of course they could lap the Smythe Smoother Mover, which is in fifth place at this time, and just taking a ride out here. And here comes Borgeson and the Vans PX.
The checkered flag up for Leif Borgeson in the Vans PX.
And Borgeson and the Vans PX is your winner. Trailed only by seconds. Pizza Pete, the U-88, Bob Gilliam. A whale of a boat race to start the 1972 Seafair Trophy race. The third boat coming down, Jimmy McCormick in the Timex. Third place almost assured.
Bill Muncy told you, watch out for that Vans PX. He can go.
Pizza turned that lap in 1:01. There's your third place finisher.
Jim McCormick comes across in the Timex, a respectable third place. He had to give up his second place position to an awfully hard charging Bob Gilliam.
Speaking well from the mechanics and the people back in the pit area, we started with 5 boats. We still have 5 boats out here racing. We've got our winner, the Vans PX, a U-32. Leif Borgeson, your driver. The Miss Timex finished third. The U-44, Jimmy McCormick, the driver. The winner's average time, unofficially now, 103 miles per hour. The Pizza Pete, the U-88. Bob Gilliam at the wheel. He was third in the first lap. And in the second lap, he was third. Then he closed to second, and he gave Leif all the trouble that he needed. Second, all the way. So Vans PX leading all the way. The Value Mart coming across the finish line to finish fourth, and then followed by the Smythe, which is just now going into the north turn. So we'll be back with live coverage of the Seafair Trophy race after this important message.
And now back at Lake Washington, the first flight is over. Vans PX, as you see, the winner, and pit reporter Mike Rhodes is in the winner's circle, as it were. Mike?
Thank you, Rod, and Leif Borgeson has just drifted into the Finger Pier, and a very happy crew has just met him, and they've put the lines on the boat. A couple of the crew members have gone aboard the boat now. Leif is talking with his crew chief. He'll be coming onto the Finger Pier shortly. We're somewhat at a disadvantage at the moment because the press is being kept off the Finger Pier for obvious reasons. The crew should have first shot at the driver after a race is concluded because they have a lot of things to check, a lot of facts to check with the driver, and we certainly appreciate the situation. And so as soon as Leif comes off the boat and comes from the Finger Pier, Of course, we'll grab him and find out what actually was going on out there as he ran an absolutely beautiful race. Coming off of that first turn, chasing after Jim McCormick, which is not an easy thing to do. It looked like he really had his work cut out for him. Of course, he saw it, and he did it because he overtook the Timex with Jim McCormick, veteran driver that he is, and he came home with the bacon. This Leif Borgeson is a wonderful young driver. As one of the boys told you a few moments ago, he took last year off. This is his first time that he's back driving this year, but it appears that a little time off for Leif is a good thing because it revitalized him. It rejuvenated him. He went out onto that course today, and he knew exactly what he wanted to do, and he proceeded to do it. It was a very good race all round. Miss Timex has now come into the finger pier to our left, and Leif is coming down now, and we'll see if we can't get a hold of him and see what was going on out there. Leif, you overtook him there at the last minute, didn't you, Leif? Looked like he had you on that turn up there, and you had about a 5-second lapse behind him. How'd you overcome it?
Oh, everything's fine with the engine. It was my fault I didn't get a very good start. I got out in the hip of Bob there, and I just had a long time to get that starting line, so it was more my fault than anything.
Well, you want to keep those two motors in. You only have those two engines to go with, so you got to be careful with them, right?
Yeah, right.
Good luck to you, Leif. That was an excellent race you ran out there, Leif. We got to get out of here, folks, because we're getting stepped on. But that was Leif Borgeson, and we'll get a little more detailed report from him a little bit later on, because they have just pushed us off the finger pier. But there you hear it. He had a little trouble, but he overcame it, and that's the kind of a driver he is. Well, Rod, I think if this is an example of the kind of racing we have for the afternoon, there won't be many dull moments. Do you concur?
Well, Mike, for one thing, this proves that you don't have to hit that first turn first to wind up winning the race. A nice job of working his way up through the pack by Leif and also by Bob Gilliam, the number 2 finisher. Al Call is with one of the other boats. I didn't quite get the word, but Al, I know you're there, so come on in.
Okay, Rod, we're standing right underneath Bob Gilliam's boat. Bob, you ran a pretty good race. It looked like you had some strategy going for you. What happened out there?
All we're after second or first, and we had a second, so that's all we're after.
You know how fast you were going?
No.
Bob, were you surprised the boat did not perform a little faster coming off that turn in the start?
We haven't changed anything. It's just the water and the conditions, the way I'm pushing it.
Were you surprised that Leif Borgeson could get that late start and get into that south a little faster?
Well, getting out in front, that means a lot in this race, and I got a little worse start, and he was there. Maybe the next time I'll do better, maybe worse.
You know, for so-called slow boats, you had a very fast heat. One of the heats here was 108 miles per hour, and that's really hauling.
Well, people say that, because we went to slow heat, that we can't run over 100 miles an hour, but we've done a lot better than that this year, and the people should realize that. But we want in the slow heat rather than have to run 113 to 115 to stay with them.
Now, when you got out of this boat, you look like you're wet from the knees down. Have you got a leak or something?
Yeah, there's a fitting on the back of the water overboard that was loose. I think a gasket let go in it, and I showed it to him. They'll have it fixed.
So you're going to stay high and dry for the next one?
I hope to, yeah.
Thank you very much. We've been talking with Bob Gilliam. A lot of excitement in this camp. Pizza Pete did very well, placing second. On the outside of the boat, we see an oil leak. As he mentioned, there is some kind of problem with a watertight seal, and the cockpit got wet. But they are assuring us that everything will be fine for the next go-around. Rod, back to you.
And without any further ado, I'm going to go to the Timex area to bring in Mike Rhodes.
Well, I'm working my way now over to where Jim McCormick is standing as soon as I play out a little more chord here. Hi, Jim.
How you doing?
Well, it was a good race out there. What happened after that first start?
Had a bunch of oil laying on the bottom of the boat, and when I hit the first turn back off for it, I couldn't see anymore.
Well, it's still apparent on your goggles there. You better clean those off, Jim, because you're obviously having a little trouble seeing. The let go on the first turn, did it?
Well, it was laying on the bottom of the boat. When you back off, and it vibrates up into the cockpit, and we got all the steering wheel, all the glasses and everything, and I just flat couldn't see anymore.
From that point on,
I
it's
had to
just a
back
matter
off.
of finishing. Is that about it, Jim?
We certainly didn't finish where we wanted to, but we'll try to do better next heat.
Well, it was an excellent start, and it looked like you were going to continue with your winning ways of last year when you were the Gold Cup winner. So we got a lot of racing left today, and to get that oil out of there, we'll be looking for better things.
Thank you very much.
Jim McCormick.
Sure try harder the next one.
I'm sure that you will. Jim McCormick is always an excellent competitor, but when you get oil in your face and you're in the middle of a race, there's just no chance in the world to stop and clean off your goggles, so he just had to go with it the way it was and finish. But there's more racing, and we'll hear a lot more from Jim McCormick. Rod?
Well, of course, the big build-up comes now into the hot heat, which starts at 12:30. And we'll have more live from the shores of Lake Washington as Channel 5's coverage of the 1972 Seafair Trophy race continues in just a moment.
46 on the clock, back on the official barge, Mike Fitzsimmons and Ray McMacken here. And, of course, the Lincoln Thrift with George Henley was a question mark before we broke to commercial. The Henley-driven Lincoln Thrift, 7.25%, is now a 7.25% back on the course. It's out there warming up, and Mike, what if that boat or any other should not make it out here?
Well, there is a rule, according to the American Powerboat Association, that if a boat is unable to start at the firing of the 1-minute gun, the boat may not compete in that heat. It may compete in later heats, but not in that one.
Well, repeating again, all 5 boats are out on the course. There's the big qualifier, over 125 miles per hour, the Pride of Pay Impact with Billy Sterrett Jr. at the wheel, 125.874. There's Bill Muncy in the U-71, the all-white with blue trimmed Atlas van lines. And he could wrap up the national championship with a 4th or better position. The U-7, the Notre Dame, Dean Chenoweth, the Shamrock on the rear fin. You can recognize that one at 116.757. The Miss Budweiser. That has brother Terry Sterrett, Billy Sterrett Jr. in the Pride of Pay Impacts. Brother Terry Sterrett Jr., the Budweiser, qualified at slightly over 115 miles per hour. There's the Lincoln Thrift. George Henley at the wheel, the U-29, and the Pay Impact, revving up its engine. Billy Sterrett Jr., the gold and red boat, owned by Dave Hernsberger. So, all 5 boats, Heat 1B. The Pride of Pay Impact, by the way, Ray, as you recall, is the only boat to upset Muncie's complete dominance of the sport this year in Washington, D.C. by setting a world record in the final heat and breaking him up in business in his National High Point bid, at least temporarily, when he won the President's Cup race with Bill Sterrett driving. I wonder, Mike, right at this moment, as we come down to almost a minute to go, Bill Muncie said he wants to finish 4th or better, but you know he has a tendency, once that 1-minute gun fires and he turns that north turn, to get in position, and I've never seen Muncie back off yet. He'll have to read the field, read the race course, Ray, and if things all look right, Bill is going to go. I'll bet he does. He wants to be comfortable with it, but he'll go. We're getting down to the nitty-gritty, 119 on the clock as she ticks away. This is when they'll start to jockey for position. All the 5 boats are down in the south turn now, just sort of warming up, 70, 80 miles per hour. Getting those Roostertails, a few last-minute kinks out of the way. Every driver probably checking all those controls in there. There it is, the 1-minute gun. And at this point, Ray, they're even racing to get into position to start racing. You betcha, that's the Notre Dame, the number 1 boat out in front there. Muncie is the next boat on the inside. George Henley has the number 1 lane in the Lincoln Thrift, and on his hip is the Pay and Pack, and on the far outside is the Budweiser. Now we're in the north turn, and that's the Notre Dame that has the lead, but a little too far out in front for the rest of the boats. All 4 kind of bunched up behind them. Notre Dame, and on the far extreme outside, the Budweiser. That's Atlas on the outside, so Muncie is not going to have lane 1. Muncie is not going to have lane 1. It's George Henley in the Thrift, 7.25%, and on his right on his hip, is the Pay and Pack. The Budweiser in 2. We got the Lincoln Thrift in 1, the Budweiser in 2. Here comes Muncie and the Atlas in 3, and Notre Dame on the outside. And way far back is the Pay and Pack. A very poor start for the Pay and Pack. The Pay and Pack is way far back as they scoot into the south turn. On the inside was George Henley in the Lincoln Thrift, the Budweiser. And there's Muncie on the outside, taking the turn. The Atlas van lines and the Budweiser, neck and neck, and the Notre Dame going into the south turn. Notre Dame Budweiser, Notre Dame Budweiser. There's your boat race right now. On the inside, the Bud, the beer boat. On the outside, the Shamrock, Dean Chenoweth in the Notre Dame. On the inside, Notre Dame now taking the lead on the outside, and look at that Roostertail fly. Who said the defending national champion Dean Chenoweth was through? He is out here to race on the fast heat, and he's got the lead. It's Notre Dame on the inside, the Budweiser. Muncie in 3rd place. Bill Muncie in the Atlas, 3rd place. Not too far back. He's closing the gap. He's closing the gap. And way far back, we don't see any activity. The Pay and Pack is dead in the water. The Pay and Pack is dead in the water.
Going into the north turn. Notre Dame on the outside. The Budweiser on the inside. Can he take the lead? Repeating. The pay and pack is dead in the water. Muncie is still on the outside. He's got fourth place locked up if he can keep that boat going. And with the lead, the Budweiser took the inside away from Chenoweth. We've got a boat race coming down for the finish of lap 1. On the outside, the Notre Dame. The Notre Dame has the lead. 110 miles per hour unofficial. They say fast. They should have called this the lightning heat. We've got Miss Budweiser now running in the lead, and this is the first time she's run that well this year, Ray. We're picking up a picture now, right now, of that is the pay and pack with Billy Sterrett Jr., a very disgusted young man, I can imagine at this moment. There's your boat race right now. This is a close one. Let's stick on that. Budweiser on the inside, Notre Dame on the outside. Did you say 110? Yeah. 110 miles per hour. They're flying. They're flying. Here comes your boat race. Look at that one. The Budweiser on the inside. Terry Sterrett on the inside. He's got that thing moving, screaming. Atlas Van Line just hanging in there, real close. Third place for Bill Muncie. Going into the north turn on the inside, the Budweiser has about a 2-boat length. It looked like the Bud slowed down a little bit there, Mike. He broke just a little bit. He's having a sloppy ride through that turn, and the Notre Dame is getting a little ground on him at this point. He is. He's closing the gap on the outside, and that's strange. But then Bill Muncie's closing in third place as well. And a fourth place boat, and George Henley and the Lincoln Thrift is no sleeper. He's right in there, too. We got a 4-boat race. The Budweiser on the inside. There's your race. Budweiser, Notre Dame, Budweiser, Budweiser, Budweiser. It's Budweiser, Notre Dame, Muncie, and the Atlas in not too shabby a race as George Henley and the Lincoln, 7.25% in fourth place. 110 mile per hour plus that lap. That's unofficial. A little faster than the last one, but they're scooting around there. They're straining those engines, Mike. Oh, yes, they are, especially that Miss Budweiser, who has a tremendous challenge from the Notre Dame. He can't shake him, right? There's your race for first and second. Still anybody's Bud. There's your leader, the Budweiser. Terry Sterrett qualified at slightly over 115, but he's tromping on it now. The Budweiser. We got a 3-boat race. A 3-boat race. On the outside, that's Muncie. Notre Dame on the outside. Muncie hanging right in there. And Budweiser still has the lead with the Lincoln Thrift in fourth position. And still dead in the water, but off the racetrack, out of trouble, is Billy Sterrett Jr. and the Pride and Pay Pack dead in the water. I'm going into the north turn, Mike. We got the Budweiser, the beer boat with the lead. In second place, the Notre Dame with that flying white and shamrock. And Atlas Van Line's another big white boat. And they're easy to distinguish between the two, even if they are the same color. That's right, and Atlas Van Line's moving in on the inside, is gaining ground, but look at that Notre Dame come out on the outside very, very fast, keeping the RPMs up, Ray. Terry Sterrett is a young driver, a very young driver. You would never know it from where we're looking right here. He takes those corners like a veteran, and he's going across for the end of lap number 3. The Budweiser is the leader. Notre Dame. Atlas Van Lines. And not too far back, and hanging in there in fourth position, George Henley and the Lincoln Thrift. This is unofficial. 110.769. I'll repeat that one. 110.769. We have got 3 laps at over 110 miles per hour. And the Lincoln Thrift just made a big pop going across the line here, Mike, and he's slowing down just a hair. He's still got a Roostertail, but he's slowing down just a hair. Okay, coming out of the south turn, there's your leader. There's your leader, the Miss Budweiser. U1, second place boat, Dean Chenoweth in the Notre Dame, number 7. Here they come, up the backstretch, in first place. Muncie's pushing it. He's pushing the Atlas. He's pushing it. He's on the inside. He's got the Notre Dame on his hip. Here they go into the north turn. Muncie's making a play for second place. Redfoot Muncie, he's not going to hold back now. He's pushing. He's racing. He must feel, Mike, that Atlas has got some power that he can go to without stressing and the equipment too much.
He's got to be looking at the reliability of the engine right now. He must think, boy, this thing's so healthy, why finish way back?
He may just make a play on the Bud here. He isn't too far back. Okay, the Bud, Muncie in second place. Bill Muncie has taken second place. And he's stretching his lead from third place boat, Dean Chenoweth and the Notre Dame. The Budweiser, he's closing into the Budweiser. The Budweiser closes the line at heat number 4. We're at the end of lap number 4 at this point, Ray. Okay, we could have a race for first place here in the final lap. Again, the unofficial time for lap number 4, 110.204. The Atlas turned that one in 108. So we've had the Budweiser turning the laps. Notre Dame in the first lap, the Budweiser in 2, 3, and 4 at over 110 miles per hour. There's your leader in the south turn, the Budweiser, followed very closely by the Atlas Van Lines and Bill Muncie. He's driving a wonderful race, this Sterrett. Here's your race for first and second. On the outside, Muncie. The first Roostertail you see is Sterrett in the Budweiser. There's your race. Final lap. Going down the backstretch. Kicking that Roostertail up there, 160, 70, 80 miles an hour. There's your race. Mike, that's a beautiful sight.
That's a fantastic shot, Ray. If you look at him coming into the north turn, and Budweiser is riding absolutely flawless. I think it's a beautiful ride on this Budweiser, the Ed Carlson boat, which is 3 times the national champion.
Whoa, he came close to the buoy on that one. Muncie on the outside, goes wide, no chances. Okay, they're in the north turn. It's a Budweiser on the inside, Muncie on the outside. Back in third place, Notre Dame. All right, now if Bill Muncie crosses the line, if he crosses the line, he is the 1972 national champion. So you look at it, I'll shut up. We got 2 winners. We got 2 winners. The Budweiser wins the race, and Muncie wins the national championship. 113 miles per hour unofficially. Woo-hoo! Notre Dame spitting across the line, the third place finisher. Number 1, Budweiser. Number 2, Atlas. Muncie, national championship wrapped up. Now he can take the canvas off, Mike.
Boy, he sure can, and with the pride of pay and pack floating helplessly up the back chute, the 2-boat race that was expected at the beginning of this day is absolutely gone by the boards at this point.
The pay and pack, the one that everybody was looking for, the silver and gold, boy, that's got to be a dejected camp. I mean, they go out and turn a world's record in qualifying, and then they poop out in the first lap.
You know, Ray, they did the same thing in Pasco. They hit a world record and pooped out in the race there as well.
You read it as we break for commercial. The winner again, Miss Budweiser.
Very much in the way of elation, as young Terry brought the Budweiser in first, and Bill Muncie has himself a national championship for the Atlas Van Lines crew. Right now, Mike Rhodes is with the winning camp, the Budweiser. Mike?
Well, I'm close to the winning camp anyway, Rod. They're keeping us off the pier rather vigorously, but Terry Sterrett has just jumped from the boat onto the pier into the waiting arms of Bernie Little. That Bernie is always there by the pier waiting for the driver to come in. He's a very happy lad. You say there's a dejected one on your side. There's a very thrilled one over here because he has just driven an excellent race. He was in command of the situation all the way through. There were some times when Notre Dame gave him some anxious moments, I'm certain, and we'll see if we can't find out when those moments occurred and when he figured that he really had them on his hip and could pull away a little bit and settle down to a relaxed ride. Of course, there's really no such thing as a relaxed ride, is there, when you're in a hydroplane race? But nonetheless, these drivers do try to pace themselves so that when the moment comes, they can slack off and quit pushing the boat too hard because there's a lot of racing ahead yet. Still out on the pier, Bernie Little, the owner of the Budweiser, the Suds boat. You know, that's not a really good name for this hydroplane because a Suds boat denotes something that hauls beer around. This hauls drivers around. It looks like it's going to be some time before we get to them, so we're going to go to Al Call for a minute. Al?
Thank you very much, Mike. We're talking with Bill Muncie, the man who's very happy. He didn't win this heat, but he won something else. Bill, tell us about it.
Oh, hey, we wrapped up the 1972 National Championship with that heat. It's a culmination of a tremendous amount of effort on the part of everybody all
So
year.
easy. You're going to go out there and just go fourth. What happened?
Well, I just wanted to slowly move up through the pack if I could with ease without jeopardizing anything. And the boat was running fine, so I thought, well, as long as there's no problems, I'm not taking a chance. I'll go on up and move up another slot.
Gatorade, Bill.
I'm on my way. It looks like my Life Boy, my Chevrolets, what is it we got?
Even though the boat was running fine, Bill, it looks like you've got an oil leak of some kind. You've got oil all over the top.
We came to Seattle, Al, and developed some oil problems. I'm not here to explain what it is. I wish we could.
Bill, how do you feel after that run?
Oh, great.
Okay, that's it from here. Back to you, Mike.
I have a very happy man with me. Terry, congratulations.
Thank you.
I thought you'd have some competition from your brother. What happened out there?
I never saw him. From the beginning of the race, I saw he was coming out of the pits late, but when we started the race, I never saw him. I don't know where he is on the course.
He took a wide turn. That's where you lost him. Now, your competition was Notre Dame. When did you think you had him on your hip so you could slow down a little bit?
Well, the water was a little bit on the rough side, and I was just running with him there, and a couple of times I had an opportunity to nudge a little head, and I did, and that's how we were able to beat him.
And finally, he was back there, and you were a little bit happy. Bernie Little, you got chicken feathers all over your mouth.
Well,
Congratulations.
that's the way I like to see that boat run, and I know Terry's very happy, and so's all the crew.
He's racing like his father. Do you think some of that rubbed off on him?
Oh, I'm sure it did. I think it's just in the family, and needless to tell you, we feel we got a real super good boat, good crew, and a good driver, and we're here to win this boat race.
You've proven it. 69, 70, 71 top boat. This is 72, and you're still going at it.
Thank you. Well, we're going to keep right on going.
Congratulations. And to you, Terry, congratulations again. Well, there you have a happy owner and a happy driver. Terry, you can have a drink there. Now we'll leave you alone for a few minutes. And I'm sure there is a very disappointed Billy Starrett Jr. on the other side of the pits, but those are the fortunes of races. Rod?
Okay, thank you, fellas. Good reporting over there and a couple of happy camps. Here's obviously the unhappy one. This is the Pay and Pack, that great boat for the sensational speed, both through the corners and on the straight. And it's Billy Starrett Jr. being towed in. So that's not the way he figured that one was going to be. So we'll have a chance to talk more about the Pay and Pack when they do get in and find out exactly what happened, why the boat conked out, why she lost any opportunity to win points in that heat, and it might have a tough chance getting it into the championship heat today. One thing else that came up with the demise of the Pay and Pack in that race, Bill Muncy really only had to finish.
Say, Rod,
To win the national title, yes.
Rod, out here on the official barge, this is Ray McMacken again, and we looked at the Pay and Pack at the start of the race, and it was nowhere in it. It was having that sort of troubles of some sort before it even crossed the starting line,
Ray,
because it was way, way back.
Ray, we knew that something was happening, and Al Call, who was over at the Pack pit area at the start, said they were having trouble with something that is akin to vapor lock there. Maybe Mike Fitzsimmons would know what the situation was on that. But
Well, Rod?
go ahead.
Rod, this is Mike out on the barge. This boat has had a little bit of difficulty with similar problems of that over in Pasco as well. The engine seems to seize up. It did yesterday, as you recall, during a qualifying effort, and it floated up the back chute without any power at that time. At the final restart of the final heat in Pasco, only 2 weeks ago, the boat running so well after setting a 120.161 qualifying record for the Pasco course and World 2.5 qualifying record, then seized up and found itself in the same predicament it is in now. I don't know precisely what the difficulty is. The crew, Jim Lucero, has tried to obliterate this problem as much as possible, and it seems to creep up on them all the time, and especially at the most inopportune moments in a race.
Okay, very good summation of that, Mike. You've seen it happen before then, and that's a terrible thing to have to put up with, but these machines are temperamental, and I think all the more credit at this point to machines like the Budweiser and especially the Atlas. And Lee Shaineth happened to be with us here at Pit Central watching our monitor and turning around and watching the race with his own eyes at time to time, and he began to get a little worried about Bill moving up through the pack, really. He said, geez, all I told him was go out there and finish. And here he was challenging for the lead and only finishing second by a matter of a split second. Okay, a split in the hull of the Notre Dame. Well, now that's a new development, and I know Al Call went in that direction. Perhaps we'll be able to call him in shortly. Marty Wyatt is also in that same general area, and we'll try to stay on top of it for you. There's the Notre Dame.
Rod, Rod?
Yes.
That boat popped just as it crossed the finish line out here. In other words, the Notre Dame, if I'm guessing, of course, this is all speculation, but I said the Notre Dame in third place, and it popped, and it just sort of lost its soup going across the finish line. So
So that may have happened right at the very end of the
very end
laps.
of the 5 laps.
Rod and Ray?
Yeah.
This is something that Notre Dame has had trouble with. You recall in the 1972 Gold Cup race in Detroit on June the 25th, the boat lost its left sponson in a turn and sunk. Now, of course, we'll have to verify that it is the left or right sponson, or a crack in the middle of the hull may have hit something in the water, of course. But if it is that same sponson, the boat had to be rebuilt in order to get into this boat race down at Ron Jones' shop in Costa Mesa, California. And if it is a problem with that, then, of course, we have to bring in the safety committee. We have to look it over and see if the boat is safe to race. So we might get down and verify all the problems that they might be having and see if it's akin to that problem that occurred in Detroit.
Say, a question right here for you fellas on the barge. What was the final speed? Did we have a new race record set?
This is unofficial, Rod, but it was 100. This is the final lap you're handing me here, 112.7. Just a minute, Rod. The average speed of the Budweiser, you ready?
Yeah.
110.159 was your average speed of the winner, and Muncie was in at 110.024. If Bill Muncie took his foot off the throttle in that race with that speed at over 110 miles per hour, he sure didn't show it.
Well,
Rod,
that's
you
not
have
a heat record. 112.5 is a heat record set by Bill in Miss Thriftway back in '63, and the full race record, though, is 109.459. If, for instance, the Bud and the Atlas could approach their same effort in the final two events, we might have a new race speed record.
Hello, Rod.
Yes.
That record you referred to was set by Chuck Thompson in 1963 on this race course, driving the second, Tahoe Miss. And we do not have a heat average. Bill Muncie's average is still the fastest heat turned in thus far in the Miss Thriftway a few years back. So we did not break that one, but I assume that the heat average as well as the race average may well be in jeopardy before the day's over.
Well, it's something to keep an eye on for sure, as, again, we look at Billy Sterrett coming in, riding in the wrong place in the pay and pack and at the wrong speed and with the wrong power.
Rod, the Atlas van lines, a little oil, the Notre Dame, crack in the hull, of course, the Pride and Pay and Pack dead in the water. Maybe Mike Rhodes over by the Budweiser could take a microscopic look at that boat.
Are you with us, Mike? Well, listen, another thing I want to establish right here, if I may, is that our next racing doesn't come till 1:45. So we have 55 minutes until the next racing action. That's 2A, or the slower flight of Heat 2. In the meantime, one thing that we do have coming up before the next racing action is that flyby and performance by the Blue Angels, and that's scheduled for 1:15, just to keep you on top of what is on the sked, okay? Al, call is ready. Al?
Rod, I'm standing here in the area of the pay and pack. There is a towboat out in front of me about 200-300 yards away, just passing in front of the official barge, and they're pulling the pay and pack in now. Martin Wyatt is with me, and Martin Wyatt has Dave Herensberger, the owner of the pay and pack, lined up. Martin?
Well, thank you, Al. Yeah, I have Dave Herensberger, the owner of the pay and pack, a disappointed man right now, I'm certain. What happened going out?
Well, it looked to me like he loaded the engine up. You can't really tell from standing on the beach, but it looked like he loaded it up and had the cylinders all washed down, and we had to stand on it. It looked like he probably broke an engine, so when we get in, we'll know more, but I would say he broke an engine. We'll put a new one in and be ready to go in about 25 minutes.
You must be disappointed. Looking at the year, your boat was odds-on favorite coming into this season. Everybody said that the pack was going to be the one, and then, of course, Bill Muncie came along. You must be disappointed with this season.
Well, it hasn't been an excellent season, but second isn't too bad. I think we've still got a chance to win this race, which is very important to us. This is what we really work for. This is the biggest race of the year for pay and pack, that's for sure. And if we can go out and win the next heat, and Lincoln Thrift gets a third, fourth, or fifth, we'll have 400 points. He'll have like 389 maximum. It'll put us in the final, and we win it. We win the boat race, and that's what we're here for.
So you don't think it's too serious? The problem with the motor, you think it was just too much gas in it on the side?
Too much gas, and I'm sure he broke the bottom end of it after loading it up. I'm sure that we'll find a rod through the side of the engine when he gets in.
Thank you very much. Dave Herensberger, the owner of the Pride and Pay and Pack. This is Martin White, back to Rod.
Okay, and our picture still shows Billy Sterrett, and again we call in Mike Rhodes.
Thank you, Rod, and I'm with Dean Chenoweth now in the Notre Dame camp. There's been some speculation as to what happened out there, and of course the best way to find out is to talk with Dean. Dean, you were doing beautifully, and then something began to happen. What was it?
No excuses, but when the boat would take a couple of hops coming off every corner, which is good for helping acceleration, it helps you use your nitrous quicker, because when it bounces, you get your RPMs up quicker, but every time the boat would take a bad hop, the engine would die. Coming off the first corner, I had my doubts that we'd even get started again. One time it died, the engine died so bad that we almost completely went off plane, almost went dead in the water. And I feel that I lost probably a good 7-8 seconds on my overall elapsed time just because of this, but I mean, that's just boat racing. There's nothing you can do about it. We're not making an excuse because we got beat, but it's just a fact that it happened, and that's the main reason why we didn't finish, right up where we started.
Mm-hmm. You did seem to settle down a little bit there, and there was quite a race between you and Muntz. Was the boat performing a little better at that particular point?
Yeah, I slowed down. It seemed like if I went through the corner slower and didn't work the boat as hard, I didn't have this problem of the dying or cutting out. So I think what was happening, I must have been bouncing real hard and maybe throwing an excess amount of fuel to the engine, which caused it to overload and give the big black puff of smoke and die. So I think this is what was happening. The harder I worked it, the more severe the problem was.
Mike Rhodes?
Yes.
Mike Rhodes, Mike Fitzsimmons out on the barge.
There was some speculation that there was some physical damage to the boat, but that is not the case.
Oh, no.
So you'll be ready for some more racing.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dean Chenoweth. That puts to rest those rumors because Notre Dame will be in good shape. Let's go now to the barge and Mike Fitzsimmons. Mike?
Right, Mike, while you've got Dean handy there, I've got a question for him, if I might. You can translate it to him, if you will.
A little relay, Dean.
Following the accident in Detroit, the Notre Dame had a serious torn-off left sponson. Can Dean explain to us just a little bit what has to be done in order to replace something like that?
Mike says that in the Detroit race, you had a torn-off left sponson.
That's it, moving out of the race course. We mentioned earlier. There he goes. He's up and moving beautifully. So he'll be in contention for this race. And as we could underestimate him yesterday, we just didn't want to leave him out of the competition. You can't do that. I just think we just didn't realize that he'd come in here as quickly as he did and got qualified as well as he did. So there he goes. He seems to be moving. Having a little problem getting it up on a plane. It's difficult to tell what the problem could be. Could be to start these engines, we use what is known as primer. You'll have to prime. That is, prime it with fuel directly into the combustion chamber so that the engine would fire. You could have a problem with his priming. Maybe the fuel mix control isn't setting up the way it should. But he hasn't got too much time. The rule has it that you have to be on the course running at the 1 minute gun, or you're not allowed to move. You have to sit still. So he's only got 57 seconds before he's going to be into difficulty if he can't get up and moving on a plane at speed.
On a minute and a half to go. The Vance PX, but Leif Borgeson at the wheel had trouble getting going. He was dead in the water. He came out. He started it himself, and now that boat is hobbling around the south turn and moving into the infield, and it looks like he does have power. The Timex has turned to the infield right in the start line here and is going in and amongst the boats that are moored out there, getting lined up, followed by the Value Mart. The Value Mart, which finished fourth, Bob Worcester, the driver, is turning into the infield now. The other boats, the Smythe Smoother Mover up at the north end, going directly south, so he'll have to turn and go the other direction. He's side by side with Bob Gilliam. So the jockeying is going out on here. The jockeying as the Timex is, there's the 1 minute gun. We've got 1 minute to go for Heat 2A. These are so-called slower boats. The winner of the last one was Vance PX, which had trouble getting started. We'll see if that affects his racing position. Here comes the jockeying for position. Mike, how does it look?
Jim McCormick on the infield of the course is going to try to grab off that one-lane ray. He's moving to the infield at this particular time and trying to get outside the course itself on the traveling lane in first place and in the number one lane. So as they come around the corner, he's trying to maintain that position.
Coming out of the north turn, 22, 21, down to 20 seconds. On the extreme inside, the Smythe Smoother Mover has moved in, but on the outside of him is the Timex with Jimmy McCormick. So on the extreme inside, you've got Smythe with the veteran Chuck Hickling at the wheel. And here we come for the start of 2A. It looks like the Timex has jumped out, but the Pizza Pete is pushing. There's nothing wrong with Vance PX. It has the lead going across the start line and into the south turn. It's a two-boat race between on the outside Vance PX and in the middle the Pizza Pete. Going into the south turn on the extreme outside, you see Vance PX with the first heat leader, or winner, Leif Borgeson in the lead, and on the inside we'll see if the Pizza Pete can squeeze the lead out because it has the shortest radius on the turn. Now you're looking at it. There's your boat race. Pizza Pete on the inside. Your winner, Leif Borgeson, on the outside. Winner of Heat 1A. This is 2A. There you go. Borgeson hits the throttle. He's got his foot down on the floorboard, and he has pushed into the lead. So you've got Vance PX, which had trouble starting, in the lead, down the backstretch. On the inside, the veteran, Bob Gilliam, in second place. That's your boat race.
You're looking at a distance of about 5-6 boat lengths in closing at this particular time, Ray, and Bob Gilliam still staying with him.
On the inside, the Pizza Pete, U88, the Old Fascination, you name it, it's in there. But on the outside, Vans PX has the lead with the red, white, and blue and the stars. Third place, way back, the Timex. Going into the north turn, Gilliam on the inside, hooks slightly and looks like he lost a little power, but not much. This might be that strategy he used in 1A. On the outside, the extreme outside, coming down towards the end of the lap. On the inside, Gilliam. On the outside, Borgeson in the Vans PX. There's your leader. The U-32 is in the lead. 110.204 unofficially.
And you got the Pizza Pete running right around 108, which makes a difference of a couple, 3 seconds is all.
So you've got 110 and 108 for Pizza Pete. In fourth place, the Value Mart, and in fifth place, My Smooth and River. All boats still running. Into the south turn and coming out to the backstretch. The leader, Leif Borgeson, in the PX.
Whatever troubles Leif Borgeson was having at the beginning of the heat, he seems to have ironed that out.
That is very unusual for a boat to come out here, go dead in the water, the driver get it started again, and here he is in the lead, going for 2 in a row.
Ray, we might remind the fans watching that this is a hull copy of the 1968 national champion with Billy Shoemaker driving Miss Bardall. Not the same boat, but a hull copy.
Okay, your leader going into the north turn of lap number 2, Leif Borgeson of the Van PX, U-32, followed closely by Bob Gilliam in the Pizza Pete. Way back in third place, and looks like he's hit the throttle a little harder because he's got that Roostertail flying a couple of feet higher, is Jimmy McCormick in the Miss Timex. Out of the north turn, the leader, Vans PX, red, white, and blue with stars all over it. Followed closely, and hugging those buoys. I don't know how he gets so close. There, he swung a little wide on that one just as soon as I said, but he was close to all of them, is Pizza Pete Bob Gilliam. Across the finish of lap number 2, your leader, Leif Borgeson. Number 2, Pizza Pete, coming across the line. Your third place boat, McCormick in the Timex. Unofficially, the time, 1:08 for the PX. 1:08 on lap number 2 for Leif Borgeson in the Vans PX. Your fourth place boat is the Value Mart, and way back in fifth place, Chuck Hickling in the Smythe Smooth and Mover. Going into the south turn, the stars all over the stern.
This is the boat that lost its rudder last year and collided with Atlas Van Lines, and she looks like they hooked it all together right this time, Ray.
The second place boat, Mike, was the Pizza Pete with a unofficial time of 98 miles per hour. Going up the backstretch. He's picking that Roostertail up, accelerating. Second place boat, which is dropping back considerably now, is the Pizza Pete with Bob Gilliam. So
as we take a look at the distance between these two boats, Ray, we can see that Bob Gilliam has now been satisfied to sit in second place, not to challenge. He's got the points he needs to get into the final. We'll take 2, eliminate the other 3, so he's in very fine shape at this point.
Unofficially, you're looking at the leader now. Vans PX unofficially on lap number 2. There was a 10-mile-an-hour difference between Vans PX, which turned the 3 miles in 1:08 even, and the Pizza Pete came in at slightly over 98 miles per hour. So we have 10 miles per hour difference in lap number 2. We're in number 3, coming for across the finish line of lap number 3. They go around 5 times, 15 miles, a 3-mile course. The racing conditions perfect, and all engines are running on all boats in this heat. There's your leader. Second place boat, way back, Pizza Pete, Bob Gilliam. And coming in hard on the second place boat, the third place boat, Miss Timex with Jimmy McCormick. Unofficially, the time in lap number 3 for Leif Borgeson in the leading Vans PX is slightly under 103 miles per hour.
And we have the Value Mart there in fourth.
And fifth place, My Smooth and Mover. Pizza Pete, 99 plus, close to 100 miles per hour. So there was a difference of only about 3 or 4 miles per hour between the Pizza Pete and the later Vans PX in lap number 3. So that should have closed the gap a little bit, but there is a big margin between your leader Vans PX coming out of the south turn and up the backstretch, and Gilliam in the second place boat, the Pizza Pete. In third place,
It should be the Timex. That's right, Ray. That's the Timex. That's in third place. Jim McCormick attempting to maintain his position now. He's having a rather rough ride in the boat because there are wakes picked up by two leading boats. And, of course, running as far back as he is, it's necessary to ride in those wakes and try to find a drop to run smoothly in. This looks like a carbon copy of his first ride. Leif Borgeson is handling that boat magnificently. That boat is riding on the water better than anyone out here. He's really taking those corners. Very little walking or sponson deviation, as they might call it, as he goes in and out of those turns very smoothly. A very small but consistent Roostertail. It isn't the height, as Mike has told you, of the Roostertail. It's the consistency. The Vance PX crossing the line for heat number 4. He's led all the way. There's your lead boat heading into the south turn of lap number 5, the final one. If that boat can make it all the way around, he is into the final heat. Second place, Bob Gilliam, who took his hand off the wheel momentarily. Mike, what about that? He's just checking with the officials, looking up, waving, saying, say, it's a nice day out here, and I've got enough points to get into the final. He can't be testing for weather. Well, he turned at 98 miles an hour. There's your distance. He turned that one at 98 miles per hour, and at 98 miles per hour, you take your hand off the wheel of one of these thunderbolts, and you could have all kinds of trouble. But Bob's a veteran, and certainly he knows what he's doing. So we've got Vance PX, the leader, coming out of the backstretch of the final heat. Going up the backstretch, stretching out at about 100 to 101 miles per hour. In second place, far back, Pizza Pete, Bob Gilliam, your driver. There's your leader, heading towards the north turn, which, if you're unfamiliar with the course, he's heading directly towards the floating bridge, the old one on Lake Washington. Heading north. One more turn, and he's got a winner. This boat looks every bit as good as that 1968 Miss Bardall win. Billy Shoemaker won the Gold Cup in '67 in the same boat out here. Not this one, but a whole copy of it, and it is a beautiful job. Beautiful ride, Leif Borgeson. Here he comes. The checkered flag is out. He's at the 1,000-foot buoy. That boat could go dead in the water and slide over now. There's your winner. Leif Borgeson in the Vance PX makes it 2 in a row. He led all the way. Here comes your second place boat, the veteran Bob Gilliam from Bothell in the Pizza Pete. And Ray, this boat's been running since 1960. Still going strong. Nice smooth ride. Second place, he's in the finals. 600 points for Vance PX, 450 for Pizza Pete, and those two boats go into the final championship heat. Here's your third place one, veteran, a nice guy, one of the nicest guys I've ever interviewed, as a matter of fact, Jimmy McCormick in the Miss Timex, which will have to sit out that final one. 338 points for Jimmy McCormick. Your fourth place boat is the Value Mart. All 5 boats still running. And, of course, the Value Mart driver, Bill Worster, is a rookie, but he's older than most of the veterans out here at this point. Well, he's given a consistent ride. He was fourth last in the first heat, 1A, at slightly over 100 miles per hour, and he is fourth again. So we have a repeat exactly of the finish of Heat 1A. Vance PX won it, the first one, and won this one. You're looking at the fifth place boat, the Smythe Smoother Mover, with the veteran Chuck Hickling at the wheel. And Chuck finished fifth, and he finishes fifth this time. So the rundown is exactly the same. As your rundown, it's a repeat of 1A. Just change the numeral to 2A, and you have a repeat of those are the accumulated scores of the 2 heats. 600 for Vance PX into the final. Pizza Pete into the number 2 boat. Those are the only 2 to be worried about now. Your winner's average lap speed was unofficially 104.3 miles per hour for Borgeson in the Vance PX. We'll take a timeout here from Lake Washington. We'll be back in a moment.
Area of the Vance PX where pit reporter Mike Rhodes is present.
Thank you, Rod. And Leif Borgeson has just drifted into the pier, and the crew chief has boarded the boat, and they're now conferring as to what took place out on the course. And I would assume that shortly, Leif will be getting out of the boat and coming to the Finger Pier. As usual, we're being held back off the pier, so we'll have to wait until he has had a chance to confer with his crew chief as well as other members of the crew to determine what took place. That's at that point that they begin to pick up tips on the next race, what might have happened, what might not have happened, and begin to plan their strategy. He did it again, the same as the first one, almost a carbon copy, with the exception that he gave everybody a few anxious moments because the boat wouldn't start. What the problem was, of course, only Leif knows, and as soon as he's through conferring with his members of his crew, then perhaps we can find out, too. He's a happy-looking boy. There's a very happy crew out there, too, because, as you well know, having 2 first places under his belt, that's a lot of points. He's beginning to add up now toward the winning column. And if Leif Borgerson can keep this boat running, as it has in the last 2 heats, for the final one, why, it's very likely that we could be standing at the moment by the winning boat. To reiterate, this is a copy of the... Here comes Leif now. We'll see. Leif, what... Okay. What happened in the beginning? You scared us to death.
It was tense. It was scaring me, too.
We thought you weren't going to get it started.
Let me get my owner in here.
All right.
Don Campbell.
We thought you weren't going to get started. What was it?
Well, we had a little problem. The water line, we use ADI. We call what we call ADI, which cools the engine, cools the ductile temperature.
Yeah.
Well, the tank, for some reason, is siphoning into the engine. So the engine was full of water at the time. So I thought the mix control was maybe broken or not working because it was running at a real slow speed and it wasn't firing because of all the water in the engine. So I went up forward and all the connections on the carburetor were okay, the mix control and full rich system. And I thought, well, it's just got to be water. So when I saw the water coming out the rear of the sacks, I thought, oh my God, I wonder what the crew thinks now. And I kept watching my watch because I know I had to keep running by the 1-minute gun. And we were just lucky. I think fate was with us. The guys have worked real hard. This is Don Campbell, who owns Vans PX. I think it kind of throbbed his heart a little bit when he saw that boat not quite started yet.
Don, you look kind of happy, too, at the moment.
Very happy. Very happy.
Did he scare you like he did us?
I was almost ready to have a heart attack.
Don't do it. Leif, when you finally got going, though, you had control all the way.
Yeah, everything's fine. And once the engine got some heat in it, was able to burn the water out, I had to shut off all the systems to eventually get it going. I was scared it was my fault. I thought I left the ADI on, and I didn't. It was off. It's happened to us the first heat a little bit, too. We've been having little problems that way. And it's just one of those things, and it's just lucky that we made it. It was tense.
Were you surprised to find Bob Gilliam giving you the push back there?
Bob's always there. Pizza Pete, they've got to be real proud of Bob Gilliam. Hey, he runs fast. We went down that first straightaway, and it kind of surprised me that he was still there.
Did you get the spot you wanted at the start?
About that time, I wanted anything that I could get.
Gentlemen, go get a drink. You deserve it. Thank you very much. Leif Borgerson, a very happy boy and a very happy owner, and well, they should be because they've got a boat that's just running like a charm today. There seems that nothing can go wrong, and if this keeps up, we could be talking with the winner here, but who knows? There's still a lot of racing to take place yet. But there you have the winner. Let's go back now to Rod.
Atlas Van Lines. As Bill said all this week, I want to go out, I want to make my points, and then I'm taking the covers off. As she is, the Notre Dame, Dean Chenoweth at the wheel with the Shamrock on the fin.
By all means, the most beautiful boat in the pits, I think, Ray.
There's your 1B winner, the Miss Budweiser, Terry Sturrett, the driver, Bernie Little, the owner.
This boat, 3-time national champion, looking for a win in 1972, which he hasn't been able to pick up thus far this year.
And here is the cab over, the one that's been having the problems, so to speak, but they say if they can iron the problems out, it's the boat of the future.
Yes, with that turbocharged Allison engine, this boat is definitely what everybody's going to be looking for in terms of power for 1973.
Running down again, the number 1 boat was Budweiser. Number 2 was Atlas Van Lines with Muncie. Number 3 was Notre Dame. Number 4 was a Lincoln Thrift. And dead in the water was the paying back Billy Sturrett. He needs 400 points or a victory. Uh-oh. All right. You see it. That's the paying back. That's the paying back right there now.
We're looking at the pride of Pay and Back at this particular moment in the south turn. Once again, dead in the water, almost the same spot she was in the last go-around with these boats. Pride of Pay and Back is dead in the water near the Coast Guard boat inside the infield in the south turn.
We have no way, of course, Mike, of knowing what's wrong. But it's a sad sight.
That's terribly unfortunate. The boat that everybody thought was going to be on top today, twice unable to even get started in a heat and get going. She's dead in the water. Of course, he has time to start it up. In fact, he has 18 seconds to start it up. Otherwise, he will not be permitted to run. And it looks doubtful at this point, Ray, that he will.
Mike, do they wait? Do they start the race with that boat out there dead in the water, or do they wag him off and wait till he's out of the way and then start it with 4 boats?
He is in the infield at this time, which means they will start the race even though he's dead in the water.
As you heard, the 1-minute gun has sounded. We've got a 4-boat race. The pay-in pack is out of it. The pay-in pack is out of it. Dead in the water. Didn't even start. That's too bad. Dave Herensberger and the pride of pay-in pack, Billy Sturrett Jr., certainly a sad crew today because their boat just didn't have it. Now we're going into the north turn, and as the clock counts down, 37, 36, you see them.
It looks like Lincoln Thrift will take lane number 1, and then you'll have Budweiser in lane 2. In lane 3 will be the Notre Dame, and lane 4 on the outside will be Bill Muncie in the Atlas Van Lines. Ray, here's Ray McMacken to call the start.
Okay, Mike, we've got another boat race. This is 2B. This is the fast boats. Only 4 on the inside. The cab over. George Henley, the Lincoln Thrift. In the middle, the Budweiser in lane number 2. Cutting on the inside, lane 3. Here comes Muncie in lane 3 with the Notre Dame on the outside. Here they come. Roostertails are flying. Holy cow! Look on the outside. The Notre Dame and Muncie in lane 3 are playing right on each other's hip. There isn't a half a boat length between them, between the 3rd and 4th place on the outside, as Muncie is in the number 3 lane and the Notre Dame is being crowded out. On the inside is George Henley in the Lincoln Thrift, so they go into the south turn. Coming out of the south turn, on the outside is Notre Dame. Going on the inside is the Atlas. Here they come out. There's your boat race. Budweiser in the inside. Atlas, Muncie on the outside. Budweiser in the inside. Atlas and Muncie on the outside. Here they come up the back stretch, and Bill Muncie has the lead in the U-71. The Atlas Van Line has the lead. On the outside, here comes the Bud on the inside. Way back is Notre Dame, followed by the Lincoln Thrift. Your number 1 boat is the Atlas. Number 2, the Budweiser, is closing the gap. 2nd place.
There you see the difference, Ray, and Budweiser smoking into that turn. He's going to
All right, here they go into the north turn, Mike. Budweiser on the inside. He could take it away from Muncie right here, depending on how they maneuver. Now, here's where your veteran driver, like Bill Muncie, and he's got the rookie Sterrett on the inside. We'll see whether the veteran comes out of this turn with still having the lead and having to make the larger radius or covering more water on the outside. Notre Dame is still in there in 3rd place. Muncie still got the lead on the outside. Bill's pushing that Atlas. He's got his foot on the floorboard. He took the covers off, Mike. He took the covers off.
Second place boat, Miss Budweiser, staying right with Muncie, though, right in the Roostertail.
3rd place, Notre Dame. Budweiser 112. Muncie 115.508. 115.508 unofficially for Bill Muncie in lap number 1 of 2B. So we've got Muncie going into the south turn with the lead in U-71, the Atlas. He's got the national championship in his hip pocket. Now he's going after the leadership going into that final heat in 2B. So it's Muncie on the outside. Still driving about a 4.5-mile course, Mike, instead of 3 miles, but he's still pushing it.
3rd place boat, Notre Dame, Ray, and he's staying right with him. He's staying in there. Oh, he's about 1,000 feet behind the leader, but it's pretty evenly spread out between 1, 2, and 3. 4th place boat, Lincoln Thrift.
George Henley and the Lincoln Thrift is definitely having problems with the cab over today. There's your leader going into the north turn, Bill Muncie. Muncie's got about a 10-boat lead length over the 2nd place boat, the Budweiser. Here they go into the north turn. On the inside, Budweiser. I don't think he can close the gap here. Muncie's going to cut him off.
Muncie looks like he's going to take
He's taking the buoy tight. There's nobody to get between him now. He's cut him off. Muncie's got it in his hip. He's got him on his hip now. He's cut in. He's going in on about lane 2 over, but when he took that turn, he took it to lane 1. So he's got the Bud behind him. The end of lap number 2, Bill Muncie, your leader, Atlas Van Lines. Budweiser, your number 2 boat, falling back. All right, we got Dean Chenoweth in the Notre Dame. Dean Chenoweth having problems cornering with that sponson trouble. They've ironed the leak in the boat, but they haven't ironed out the stability problem.
Ray, we have new records set. Bill Muncie's 1st and 2nd laps faster than his Miss Thriftway's 112 record on Lake Washington. A new lap record is set by Muncie again now in Atlas Van Lines. Bud ran 108 on that last lap.
And the speed, 114.893 unofficially. There's your leader, and Bill Muncie is screaming.
The Atlas Van Lines, Bill Muncy, now already sewed up the national championship this morning, and he's going after this Seafair Trophy race with all things considered. He's running flat out. There's your difference between the first and second place boat. Bill Muncy going now into the north turn of lap number 3. Lap number 3, Muncy is going into the north turn. The race is half over. Falling farther back, about 20 boat lengths now, maybe 30. The Miss Budweiser just entering the north turn and just coming out of the north turn. Wow, did he cut that buoy close. Muncy is really, really running a race. There's your difference. Muncy coming across the 1,000-foot buoy and just coming out of the north turn, the Budweiser with Terry Sterrett, the driver. And just going into the north turn, the Notre Dame. Notre Dame with cornering problems, but once she hits the straightaway, boom, away she goes again. And way back. Going into the south turn, you're looking at it. There's your leader, Bill Muncy, Atlas Van Lines. He just set another record, 1:15.508. Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo! There's no way, unless Bill Muncy blows an engine right now, that the Miss Budweiser is going to catch him. He has the command on this program for sure at this particular point. The Bud turned not too shabby either, Michael. The Budweiser in over 104 miles per hour. All right, the south turn. There's your second place boat, the Miss Budweiser. The colors of Washington State, crimson and gold. Up the backstretch. What a smooth Roostertail as you'll want to see. Bill Muncy and the Atlas Van Lines, and that boat is sounding beautifully, Mike. There isn't a pop or anything. He's just humming. He's just moving. There's no question about it. Lee Sheen, the owner, Bill Cantrell, boat manager, Jim Kurth, the crew chief. These guys have put this boat together. Probably the most superb boat I've ever seen run on Lake Washington. Yeah, when we want to remind you, the pay and pack did not start. It was dead in the water before even the 1 minute gun. It went dead in the water twice now, so the pay and pack, very disappointed crew. A very elated crew at this time. If everything holds up for one more lap, will be the Atlas Van Lines. They are going to win everything in this number 2 if they can keep going. And that boat shows no signs of letting up. Muncy's racing as if somebody were on his hip. Number 2, the Budweiser. The boat having some difficulties negotiating that north turn, Ray, because the water is chopped up there, and we do have a wind out of the north, and he is having to run in almost his own rollers every time he goes around. Another record, Mike, 114.285. He is flying. As I said earlier, that 109-plus mile per hour race record set by Chuck Thompson at 63. Very definitely, if speeds continue like this, Ray, will fall without a doubt. Muncy's going to win everything but the seaweed on the bottom of the lake today. There he goes. He's closing in on the 5th place boat, which is just going up to the 1,000-foot buoy into the north turn. Chuck Hickling in the Lake and Thrift, the cab over, which is in 5th place, and Muncy could conceivably lap that boat. We're now going into the final heat. We're in the final heat right now. Yep. About a half a lap to go for Muncy. This is the final lap, Ray. We're in heat 2B. Let's clarify that. This is the final lap for Muncy. He's going into the north turn. There he is. U-71, Atlas Van Lines, the final lap. Coming around the north turn. It looks like he's slowing down just a tad. He's at the north corner buoy, and now he comes down the straightaway. The cameras are on him. He kicks it, and here he comes. Checkered flag is out. Bill Muncy and the Atlas Van Lines is your winner. And about 1,500 feet separates Bill Muncy from Terry Sterrett in the Miss Budweiser, running second now at the exit pin of the north turn. Satisfied to take second, Ray. He'll be in the final heat. You'll see him back out of here yet. Okay, Terry Sterrett in the Bud, nearing the finishing line for second place in Heat 2B. Your winner again was Bill Muncy and the Atlas Van Lines, and there's the Bud across the line. A fine race by the Budweiser. All right, your third place boat is the Notre Dame, having cornering problems way far back, just entering the north turn now. Dean Chenoweth definitely having problems with that boat. The Bud turned that one in slightly over 106 miles per hour. The Atlas, 112 plus. So Muncy has burned up this race course in Heat 2B. Muncy, your winner. Budweiser, number 2. The Notre Dame coming out of the north turn now, just heading for the straightaway. Will pick up 450 points accumulated for a third place finish. The same as she had in lap 1B. She picked up 225. There's the disappointment story of the day. The pride of Pay and Pack, the defending Seafair Trophy Race champion, is going to have to give up the cup to whoever will win that final heat, but very definitely is all through for today.
All right, there's your points as the Notre Dame just crossed the finish line. Notre Dame has 450 points, and so the rundown is Atlas finishing with 700, Budweiser finishing with 700 accumulated now, a second place in 2B. Notre Dame, third place, two back-to-back third places, and your last boat out on the course is this one, George Henley in the cab over Lincoln Thrift, 7.25%, the longest name, and dragging up fourth place with 338 points. Now, Mike, where will that put the Lincoln Thrift in the final heat? Quickly.
That will make it a toss-up between some of the boats in the second flight run just a few minutes ago.
No, she won't make it because of the Advanced PX and Pizza Pete with 600 and 450. All right, live from Lake Washington. We'll be back in a moment with more of the Seafair Trophy Race.
Find out quickly before we go to pit reporter Mike Rhodes, Jim. Can you run in the consolation race? A lot of people hope that they're going to get to see your boat race today.
Right now, we really don't know because the engine was smoking badly this last time out. It might be unhinged. If it is, we can't run again. However, we just got a report just before we came over here that the engine wasn't broken, but at this time we don't know what's wrong with it. We'll just have to wait and find out.
Well, it's been a tough day for you guys, and I certainly appreciate your coming over here with this information, and hope you will race because a lot of people want to see you.
Oh, we sure would like to. We'd like to put on at least something of a show for the fans here in Seattle. This is our hometown, and we'd really like to do well here, and it's unfortunate we've done so badly.
Okay, thank you so much for coming over, Jim, and good luck. Mike Rhodes, quickly to you.
Thank you very much, Rod. We're going to have to wait for just a minute now because I'm standing in line, but we have Terry Sterrett here, and Terry's talking with the other boys now. We'll let them get their fill, then we'll see if we can talk with him. But that was a beautiful second place for him, and I imagine I'm going to have to hear him say that this is just about where they would like to be because they have a first and a second, and the final is coming up, and there was no reason in the world for him to get out there and bat his head in against Muncie, who was obviously running very good when that wasn't the run for the real money. So we'll see if that's just about the kind of strategy that they want.
Well, it's the U-21. That's the Value Mart. Mike, what's the story on that one?
The Value Mart, a brand new boat built by Bob Gilliam, with probably his best effort in terms of craftsmanship. Rookie driver Bill Worcester, his second race, and very promising, at least in the future. At this time, he's learning how to drive hydroplanes and race with these hot dogs.
And the U-44 with a fine southern gentleman, Mr. Jimmy McCormick, driving the Timex.
As we look at the Value Mart at this point, yes, Jim McCormick, the Gold Cup winner in Miss Madison last year, Atomic Cup winner in Miss Madison last year. That boat since retired and replaced. And Jim McCormick, as you see him coming through the north turn, really a fine country gentleman from Owensboro, the same place where the Sterretts come from. The owner and driver combination of this boat, right?
And the U-4, the Smythe Smoother Mover.
As we look at the the Timex coming out of the north turn, you mentioned the Smythe, this boat, the former first Notre Dame under Shirley McDonald, and also the Miss Budweiser. Its best effort to date, 1967, Kelowna, BC, where it whipped Billy Shoemaker in the 67 Bardall to win the BC Cup race. And as we look at the Timex, we are talking about the Smythe at this point, and that boat driven by veteran Chuck Hickling, and there's the Smythe right there.
Chuck Hickling is 56 years old, right?
Yes, he is, and that bright, shiny, bald head of his, almost as shiny as his helmet, but Chuck has been around a lot of race boats. He's a builder, he's a designer, he's an innovator, and he's a fine driver. You give him a machine that'll go for him, and he'll be a winner for you.
Well, when we say consolation, what do we mean, Mike? What are they going for here?
Well, what we mean is that these boats were unable to make it into the final heat. The consolation race, basically for the fans to show them some more boat racing before that feature race, but at the same time, these guys are going for half points toward the National High Point Championship, which has been won by Bill Munson, but at any rate in position. And that's what they're going for, half points and a share of the money.
The jockeying for positions, the 1 minute gun has sounded, and all three boats are right in each other's rooster tails on the back stretch going towards the north turn, grinding out at about 70, 80 miles per hour, getting everything set. This is when they button down the hatches and away they go. You've got the Value Mart on the inside as they come turn. On the far outside is the Smythe, and on the inside is Jimmy McCormick in the Timex now. He was in the number 2 lane. Now he's switched to the inside, and he is the third boat back, which would be
on that camera the inside position. The all-red boat, the Timex, which is the U-44, is on the inside. McCormick in the middle. In lane 2 is the Miss Value Mart. And on the outside is Chuck Hickling, the veteran, in the Smooth Remover. A 3-boat race, the Consolation. Here they come. We're down to 10 seconds before the starting. They're almost the 1,000-foot buoy with a Timex on the inside, and the Value Mart is on the inside. Timex and Value Mart. It's the Value Mart across the line first.
I'll tell you, Ray McMacken, that's got to be Bill Worster's greatest thrill to lead at the starting line in an unlimited hydroplane.
Well, he had it across the starting line, but here's the key. Right here, the south turn. We pick it up on the King color cameras right there on the south turn from Seward Park. On the inside is Jimmy McCormick and the Timex, and on the outside is Mr. Worster. And it looks like the Timex crawled ahead there, just a hair. Now, coming out of the turn, that's the key right here. They're both about neck and neck. Coming out of the key on the outside, the Value Mart. On the inside is the Timex. And from this vantage point, you see it. Value Mart has the lead. And stretching out. A bad turn for the Timex. McCormick had some troubles in that one, Mike.
Yes, he did, but Bill Worster's having a great moment. He's leading this race, and you see him, a rookie, and boy, he's got to be thrilled to death at this minute to lead an unlimited hydroplane race. He's been a great outboard driver, a great limited driver, and now he's pouring the coals on. But Jimmy McCormick there in second is going right with him.
All right, we've still got a boat race. There's not that much between them. It looks like the Timex is closing the gap going into this lap around the first lap here, as the Timex is on the inside, the Value Mart on the outside, and you just had a look at the Smooth Remover about 20 to 25, 30 boats behind. It's just heading into the north turn as the two 1-2 boat are in the north turn coming around. The Value Mart on the outside has the lead, coming around the marker buoy and cutting in sharply. Taking off and gaining ground as he cuts on the inside is the Value Mart is on the outside. Jimmy McCormick on the inside with the Timex. Took that turn with less water to cover, so to speak, and here they come. The Value Mart has the lead. Timex is back by about 10 boat lengths. Dead in the water, Smooth Remover, dead in the water in the north turn. He's dead in the water in the north turn. He's turning into the infield. The time unofficially almost 101 miles per hour, 100.934 for the Value Mart.
And that is not too shabby, Ray. He's doing a very fine job. He cornered that boat very beautifully. He's learned a great deal since his first race in Pasco. Chuck Hickling, by the way, waved his hands in the north turn. He's okay, no problem.
All right, we're down to a 2-boat race. Value Mart and Timex. Value Mart and Timex, and that's all we've got in this consolation race as the Smythe is dead in the north turn. He's turned into the infield. He's out of the racer's way, and the Coast Guard cutter is, the Coast Guard helicopter cutter is chopping right over its head to see if everything's okay, but Chuck has wagged his hand saying, I'm fine, just the boat's dead, that's all. All right, there's your boat race. There it is. Value Mart, the gold and red. Timex, U-44, all red. And it looks like the Timex, Mike, is closing the gap slightly. He's picking up on the Value Mart.
All right, now here's where...
Here it is. The Timex is going to take the lead. He's on the inside. You see it on the inside. Uh-oh. The Timex just bounced there. He's picked it up again. It looked like the Timex was having problems on the corner. The Timex can really scream down these straightaways, but on the corner, Mr. McCormick is having problems. He's swinging wide. He's forcing the Value Mart outside now. But he's still got the lead. The Timex has taken the lead. Now it's the Value Mart back in the lead. Value Mart, Timex, Value Mart. And the Value Mart has the lead. Oh, we have an engine fire right in front of the official dock. Jimmy McCormick and the Timex. A big puff of smoke and some flames came shooting out of that engine, and he is dead in the water and turning into the infield. We'll see if he's all right. He stands up. That's McCormick on the infield, right in front of the official barge. That engine exploded, and we've got a stacked fire right now.
That engine is shut, and as a matter of fact, the entire left bank of the engine, as you see right here on our picture, is just burned out. McCormick using the CO2 in his cockpit. He ducked to the right of the cockpit to get clear.
Fine. The driver is in good shape. That boat, the minute it hit the line, right on the line, bang! And that fire came exploding out as you saw. But the driver is all right. 2 boats dead now. And it's all Value Mart. He is the winner if he can keep her going.
Ray, in a situation like this, the Value Mart will only have to finish 3 laps. They will call it a race at that point. There's no competition. It will only have to complete 3 laps. McCormick is not in the water, therefore the flares did not go up and the race was not stopped. What he did...
We're going to take another look at it, Mike. We're going to take another look at it on the instant replay here on the King Color cameras on the...
All right, let me give you...
All right, here it is. Take a look right there. You're going to see it.
Let me give you an explanation now of what happened. Now, McCormick has the boat on your left and on the picture. Now, there goes the fire. McCormick ducks to the right side of his cow, getting clear of the flames that are coming back, and that's very, very hot. You've got to believe that. He's standing up partway in the cockpit as the boat goes to the infield, very wisely into the infield. McCormick steered it in there, but got himself clear, as you can see. The flames are moving out to the left bank of the boat, still smoking there, but the flames subside right away. It appears to have blown the manifold right off the boat. McCormick now ducking down, getting clear of all the flames. Value Mart gets a checkered flag as we're telling you this. 3 laps completed. He wins the feature race, semi-feature race. Still looking at McCormick. He now ducks down, gets his seltzer bottle out, his CO2 bottle. Stepping in front of the, now he's standing up in the cockpit, as you can see, getting ready to shoot that stuff should he have to, and he did. Now he goes, hits the flame with the CO2, gets it out. He's all right, as you can see, taking command of the situation right away. An old pro at this. In 1969, when the Atlas van lines caught fire in a qualifying run, McCormick took a look at the situation. At that point, decided to pop out of the boat real quick because it looked like it was getting a little too hot. In this case, now he sits down, figures, oh boy, look at that. We blew an engine in a semi-feature race. Things just haven't been going our way. But he is all right, as we repeat, had the situation completely under control at this point. There he is, spraying it again, and he's now standing on the bow of the Timex, dead in the water. He's waiting for assistance.
So we got a winner. The Value Mart won the boat. Bill Worcester, the rookie driver, sort of a veteran as age-wise, but he did win this consolation race. We had 2 boats go dead in the water, and we still have no word on that lady on the pier. Maybe Rod Belcher can find out some information in the minute we go back on that story, which is all important. 101.887 unofficially. 101.887 unofficially for the winner. And that's your winner right there, the Value Mart of the consolation round. At 3:45, we have the go for the championship, the final run.
Thank you very much. I didn't have the oil problems I had out there before, so I could just stay on it.
Bill, I'm happy to report you've been designated the first alternate boat in this final heat, so they are pulling you out of the water right away.
Oh, this is absolutely great. I hope I get in there.
How do you feel about it now? You've had 2 kind of disappointing finishes, and you had a race going with Timex there, and then she blew.
Well, I'm sorry she blew, but I would have beat her anyway.
You're going to be running against someone you know and like very well, the owner of this boat.
That's great.
Congratulations to you, Rod. We don't have much time to talk. They're pulling this boat out right now to get it ready for the next heat. She is the first alternate, and there is some cleaning up to do on it in case it's designated to run that way. The security people here are trying very hard to get us off this finger pier. They are trying to minimize injuries should something happen when this boat's up on a crane. So, Rod, with that, we'll turn it back to you.
Okay, and meantime, here back at Medical Center, as it were, we have a report on the lady who was rushed by ambulance a few short minutes ago, just before the start of that heat. She's on her way to Doctor's Hospital. We had a chance to have Marty Wyatt talk with one of the medical committee members, and Marty, I think the story was, wasn't it, that she was from out of town and had been on the log boom, is that right?
She was from out of town. She was on the log boom, and she had some symptoms of, not symptoms, but she had labor pains. About a half hour ago, she said she was going to try to make it all the way through the race.
Oh.
So at this point, just a few minutes ago, they had to take her away. She couldn't make it.
But she was really in the early stages rather than on the point of delivery, right?
Very much so in the early stages, but the doctors felt if she stayed here that they might have to deliver a baby here and name it Seafair.
Say, listen, if it was a little closer, Marty, you'd have been on the way there to the hospital, too. You'd have been our medical center reporter. Incidentally, just one other little monetary sidelight on the consolation race that you just saw. $600 was declared to be the overall pot for that, and I assume that the first, second, and third money will be divided, with $300 going to the George Worcester boat and $200 to the second place boat, which would be the Timex, Value Mart being first, Timex second, and the Smoother Mover getting the third place money of $100. $300, $200, and $100 for that race. We have feature race money going as high as $4,000 for the upcoming championship race. And may I have my director say again, please? Thank you. He wanted me to say that King's coverage of Seafair 1972 would continue in just a moment. It has this for us.
Yes, Rod, thank you. I have Gary Crawford, who's the crew chief on the Timex. Gary's been kind of a hard luck day, hasn't it?
Yeah, pretty much so. But it's been a tough season. It's just one of those things. But I think we're going to get a new boat next year, and it'll look a lot better for us. This boat's a little rough handling in the corners, and of course, that just tears equipment up.
I was going to ask if you'd had any word yet as to really what happened. Here comes Jim McCormick, but have you received any word from the boat? Or?
Well, from the look of it on TV, I would venture to say it's a broken rod. It's very typical of one.
Yeah.
With a fire on the stacks, that's a lot of hot oil coming out of the engine.
Move in. Does this mean putting in a new engine, or are you going to wrap it up for the day, or what is your prognosis at the moment?
I think that's it for today.
That's it for today? That's too bad, because you fellas have worked awfully hard, and you're all good competitors, and Jim is an excellent driver. But there'll be other races, so you'll start looking to that, huh?
Next year will be a big year.
Good. Thank you very much. Yeah. Well, there you have it. It's kind of an unfortunate thing, but the fortunes of racing are that you can have a good machine going, and then suddenly things just go sour, and that seems to be what happened. Jim McCormick is standing on the bow of his boat now, and talking with the boys and saying, well, that's it for today, fellas. Let's wrap it up. Let's look for the next race. So, Rod, that's about it from here for now.
Yes, Mike. One of the big things about Seafair racing is anticipation. You guess and you figure and you try to dope things out, and right now all the doping and figuring is going on about the upcoming race. So far we've had two great duels between the Miss Budweiser with Terry Sterrett and the Atlas Van Lines with Bill Muncie, with Muncie very nearly nipping the Budweiser, who was leader for about the last two-thirds of the first section, and coming within just a very few feet toward the end of the race. And then in the second time around, Muncie was able to get a commanding lead, run at that phenomenal 114 miles an hour plus for the 5 laps average, and he just ran away with it, and there was no sense in Terry Sterrett trying to climb up his back in that particular heat. But they're starting all over again, and the points, which did mean something about who was going to get into this final championship event, they don't mean anything anymore, because simply the order of finish in this one heat determines